can be put to separate these two teams. FaZe face off against MIBR here on Oregon, and the bans start to come in. Thatcher will go by the wayside to begin with. Will we see it followed by a hard breacher? No, it's going to be the Monty that will go. So absolutely no desire there from FaZe to play against the Big Shield.
Get him gone. No Major Monty, no shielded Shroud, no mischief from the big man, the thick boy himself, the human armadillo, Tim.
That's certainly one way of putting it, Jackie. That is exactly what he does. Just fires up that armor and just sits behind and lets people take the pot shots, feeding all that information in. Can be very, very disruptive to defenses because he attracts a lot of attention. So that's why we've seen him taken away. Echo will join him and Goyo will be the final defender ban. So Malusi will be in play once again. And to be honest, we didn't really see a huge impact from Malusi in the last matchup. Certainly more in the first game between Team 1 and W7M, I think, than we did between Furia and Ints.
Yeah, I mean, on Consulate, there was one or two instances where she was really annoying, and that purely is just off the back of her gadget, right? Great placement with that can go a long way, especially if you can double it up as what we were seeing with the Wamai, where you then make it so hard to get it out of a position. It can slow you down so much on a choke point where, in reality, you don't have much of a chance to fight back. I think across the board, she was way better used on Clubhouse. They put great use to just the fact as well that she is a free speed. If you go on her and you've got confidence and you want to do something crazy, make use of that. Take full advantage of the fact that she is a quick lady.
Absolutely. Once those gadgets are deployed, Malusi is largely free to get off on the roam. You know, there's absolutely no real problem with that. And there's no other particular purpose or service that she offers inside of the site unless you were wanting to maneuver those gadgets at any point later in the round. So, yep, you're absolutely right, Jackie. Get out there. Potentially use it for a peek here and there. Just really mix it up. Use that speed to get in and around the map. But right now, we are not going to see Malusi brought along even when available. So MIBR sticking with more sort of tried and tested methods here rather than bringing in the new operator that is available. We're going to have the Mute and Mozzie combo, which is often used just to try and deny as much information as possible to the attackers by capturing as many drones. Or it's not even really so much about capturing them, it's just preventing them moving into specific areas, just creating as much of a blackout as you can. If you do manage to capture one, then fantastic. It's a little bonus and you can, you know, flip reverse and use that gadget to the best of your ability rather than the attackers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's one of those, right? If it was like a flowchart and you're just like, well, I don't really fancy playing Mute, but I still want to have the same success, or I want to combo that with a Mute, go for a Mozzie pick. If you fancy it, if you're feeling it, you can do some spicy stuff with them, man. It also does give you a little bit more utility to play with if you capture those drones, so definitely a worthwhile addition to the team when used correctly. We'll see if it'll have much of an impact, though, into this open round as it starts to develop. As right now, we're about 2 minutes in already. We haven't seen much of a push just yet from FaZe. They're actually taking a bit more of a reserved approach. You can see in terms of the map control, they are right outside though. Barricade has been broken down. M-King looks a little bit paranoid about it, but as he pushes into him, it seems like his focus was in the wrong place. Live, he is going to be living the high life as he slaughters M-King, dropping him down immediately, so that Mozzie is gone.
That's one of the roamers cleared off the board. We're not exactly sure. Cameraman just looking to push forward up those rear stage stairs, I think, but dips his way back down as FaZe will now take control over the meeting area. They've still got one up at the very top. Eye on it will be to shut down Cyber, and that is going to be the Legion gone now as well. 5 versus 3, and the roam clearance here from FaZe has been fantastic.
Been super solid stuff. And this is the dream way to deal with a team like MIBR as well. If they're going to go for that heavy investment into roamers, where they want to pull off those late round rotations to backstab you, wean them out, clean the map bit by bit, give it a deep clean, and act like a large collection of pressure washers. And that's just what they're doing. FaZe are turning the pressure on right now. They're also needing to turn up the heat though, Tim, as we don't have too much time left in this one. We're down to about a 35-second mark. It's a 3 versus 5. You have the manpower advantage. You've got a lot of utility left as well. The Habana finally starting to come into play as well with the X-Kairos pellets, as they'll be shot out to tear down the walls. But as you bring them down, set yourself up for success here. They need to get on the site, crack that diffuser open, and crack the Skull of Souls, as he is in a pivotal position to try and deal with him late round.
Great shot from Bullet through onto Ion in the freezer there. Cameraman will get a kill onto Yuna using that utility to maximum effect, and very quickly we find ourselves turn around into a 2 versus 2. Bullet with a big double at the end there onto KDS and Ion, and that is going to be MIBR closing out the round. The early aggression they tried to bring on the roam seemed to have hurt them, but no, they were resolute in their defense. They were stalwart and managed to just get themselves wedged into the site there, and they could not be moved by FaZe. Round 1 goes to the side of MIBR on the defense.
That's crazy. That is a hell of a comeback from a position where, I mean, effectively they had nothing. Their stake into the round was gone, and they just sort of ground it back. They hit their shots. They play it perfectly. They knew when to turn on the high tempo and go for the aggressive peaks out. And even though FaZe did so much, they didn't do enough at the end. When push comes to shove, they have crumbled, giving away the first round towards MIBR's defense here in Oregon. Not ideal. You don't want to concede these rounds. As we've seen previously, if you can build yourself a buffer early on in your attack, that's where you need to make the money.
Heading up to dorms in round number 2 then, and as much as FaZe made good early progress there, getting themselves an advantage, they really need to focus in on exactly what to do when they reach site and make sure that they're able to crack the core of that nut rather than just taking away the outer shell, and that is exactly what we saw last time around. So MIBR setting up fairly standard there, but interestingly we've got Bullet just applying some utility downstairs, which suggests to me that we are potentially going to have somebody looking to play down there. Now, we've got nobody with nitros on the side of the defenders, so I'm not sure if it's going to be Bullet himself who maybe tries to play down there. M-King has gone down with the Clash. Cyber downstairs, so quite a big presence on that ground floor level here from MIBR. They are certainly looking to not have FaZe Clan get in underneath them, but by contrast, generally the attackers would look to clear out Attic and Master Closet, so I'm not sure exactly where the plan is for MIBR to meet FaZe head on here downstairs.
So, MIBR, are they going to be able to do it again and get themselves another very clean defensive round onto a very different site? For FaZe Clan, it's a shame as well, because the pieces were falling into place really quite quickly into that prior round. It looked like they had smooth moves. They were making quite clinical attacks. This time we've got the Maverick coming in for KDS though, who's starting to open up that wall to provide more points of rotation and really give them a whole nother access point in towards dorms in the late round. It needs to be done. He's making quite quick work of it so far, and there isn't much of pressure being applied to him either. They do run straight through a Prisma though, and this will give away Live's position for now. Not the worst thing in the world, as it won't affect too much, but it is still a bit of info passed over. That's where it could have got awkward though. The peeking towards the doorway, luckily it was a Clash rather than any of the other operators that could have taken a bit of a hefty hit shooting back there and shutting the Ash. They instead get that first frag. Habana stealing the limelight with a connection onto Bullet and putting them into a 5 versus 4 to start off round 2.
This time MIBR lose the hero of round number 1 with Bullet going off the board, but Cameraman steps up with a kill onto Ion to level things up 4 versus 4. It is good progress though from FaZe. They've got KDS established inside of Attic now, and this is never pretty for the defenders. Once you lose Attic and have boots on the ground in there, it can get very difficult. As you can see, they've been forced all the way back to main dorms and kids dorms now, and it is going to give FaZe a little bit of room to potentially get themselves into a safe location inside of Games Room where they can get that diffuser down. And you can see the utility is raining in at this point, and certainly being rained back as well as the Toxic Babe canister is deployed just to prevent the push coming in from KDS. But with 45 seconds left on the clock, there is an awful lot of pressure left for the defenders to absorb here, and the only thing being absorbed by Souls is bullets from the gun of Astro. Meanwhile, Cyber will level things out, and this just bounces backwards and forwards. It's as if the round is on an elastic band at the minute. Yuna looks to get the diffuser down. Final kills come in from Astro and KDS. KDS, and that's going to be round 2 going to FaZe Clan, and I have absolutely no doubt this is how we are going to see things continue, Jackie, back and forth.
Oh, yeah. It will be like a metronome. It is not going to stop swaying the entire way through. And for FaZe as well, mate, you do wonder if there's going to be a little bit of them that is probably going to get frustrated based off the outcome of the opening round, because already that would have been a 2-0 lead on your attacking side of Oregon. That's a pretty sick move. I know it might not seem like much, and especially to someone that might be fairly new to LATAM, but between these two teams, if you get a really clean entry into the game like that, especially for FaZe, a team that in my mind, Tim, can be quite volatile when it just comes down to their actual overall tempo. It's always sort of felt like if they get a really good start, they can run away with that the whole way through the game. If they trip at the first hurdle, if they struggle to get momentum, it feels like they never really wake up into a series. So it's good to see at least that first round stumble hasn't plagued their mental, hasn't knocked them for 6. Instead, they've just bit their way back in on a follow-up.
A little bit. I mean, I commented on the use of utility from MIBR downstairs. They applied quite a bit to sort of kitchen dining area. They had Clash down there. They had the Jaeger down there. And ultimately, KDS was able to just walk into Attic and take it for free, effectively. And I'm not sure that it was the best placed use of utility, because ultimately FaZe went for a fairly standard attack. They pushed and they took control of Armory Master side. They pushed and they took control over Attic, and then just moved into site from there and got the control that they needed, forcing the defenders deep back into site. And ultimately, those MIBR players just basically had to push back up the white stairs and get themselves back onto site. So it just seems a little bit wasted there. And to say that we don't often see pushers coming through kitchen and dining, at least not heavily by the attackers, I'm sort of surprised as to where that logic came from for that setup, you know, that use of utility down there.
No, yeah, I agree, man. I feel it. It is a bit odd. A little bit bizarre. Ooh. This might be a little bit of a nuisance as well. Coming out early on, you've got the instant walls being teared down by Astro. Trying to act quite quick this time around with the use of the Habana, obviously giving him different rotation points to play with when push does come to shove. Other than that, it's the fairly standard execution. It's the way they have been playing it. They'll tear down the default walls, get rid of the hard breaches that they need to, and then be able to slowly set their focus in towards the sites in the late round. Vertical play could be a gigantic aspect of this site as well, and if it is, you need to wean out Cameraman. Not only is he going to be a silent observer, he could be a hefty impact fragger if they don't track him down and don't get him out of that dormitory position. He could really be a pain in the backside in the late round, Tim.
Certainly could. We can see magnets being deployed there just to help the Wamai keep himself lodged on the white stairs there. And this round much slower than we saw last time around. The top floor clearance still not successful from FaZe here, and Ash is going to be shut down. It's live going in through the window. Cyber will be the one to take him out. Bullet and Cameraman getting in on the action as well. And we quickly find ourselves 2 versus 5. And FaZe never able to successfully take this top floor. They are still struggling against it. Yuna will move in and get the kill onto Cameraman, forcing then, I think it was, I'm not sure, I think it might have been Souls just heading back down those white stairs. But ultimately, it's too little too late. It's 2 versus 4 now. Can see shots raining in through the floor there, but will not be successful completely in shutting down Bullet, and that still leaves us 2 versus 4 with a lot of work for FaZe to do.
Yeah, this is a bit of a scary one now. It's not a good spot to be in, and by all means, it's a pretty awful spot to be in. You've got 40 seconds left with 2 of your attacking side remaining. And one of them could be sideswiped by this angle in play here by Cyber. Waiting up by the bookshelf. Doesn't matter. In the end, it will be his teammates to capitalize instead. Bullet with 1, Souls with the other. 2 frags found as they'll both drop down to the floor. And MIBR get a sick follow-up there onto the second.
MIBR advantage once again as they get themselves to 2-1 on the scoreboard. But as I said, this one I think will bounce backwards and forwards as we continue. We're going to be heading now to, it looks like, Kitchen and Meeting this time around. So with a successful defense there from MIBR of Dining, they decide to go to Kitchen and Meeting rather than back down to the Laundry site. So Laundry is available for them at this point. They do win it back in round number 1, but obviously wanting to mix it up, they're going to give us a look at all 4 sites, Jackie.
Oh, yeah. Let's give us a nice little tour of, you know, the fresh paint lift that went into Oregon. I know it feels like it's getting a little bit of an older rework now, but it is still new at heart, a young at heart map, Tim. You know, we gotta really show it off still. It deserves it.
Certainly does. So, 5 versus 5. Prep phase going on. We can see the setup being put in place now. Bullet is going to reinforce those external walls going towards the main lobby. That is going to prevent pressure being mounted from that side. Generally, what you'd expect to see on an attack here would be a lot of rear stage pressure from the attackers' phase. They're going to look to get in and get control over that area, open up the walls that Souls is currently reinforcing. They're going to look to undo all these sort of refurbishment works there. They'll blast a big hole in that wall, and that's going to give them the opportunity to get through and get the diffuser down on that stage behind the sort of trellis table that's been tipped over there with a few sandbags behind it. That's ultimately going to be their final aim. Now, if they can do so and get that opened up, the way that MIBR are going to try and defend that is to try and hold an angle onto there, usually from somewhere right up in the faces of the attackers, just in front of that small stage where the hatch is, and also maybe somebody around kitchen area to support. It is a very tricky hold indeed.
Reckon that's real bear, Tim? Do you feel like that was hunted and brought home, you know, plopped up on a wall? Or do you reckon that's like a pleather bear?
I feel like it's faux. I feel like it's purely ornamental.
Yeah, I'd be keen to agree. I reckon they found that secondhand down at the flea market. You know, they picked it up, $12.99 for that, Tim.
Bargain.
That is, genuinely, that is a bargain. I'll tell you what else is a bargain. The fact they got the entry frag this time around, shattering not only the skull, but also the hopes and dreams of FaZe Clan being able to make quick work of MIBR here into round 4. They're not looking too good. A little bit green around the gills as well is Ion, as the buck has taken a little bit of a hit. More than anything, he's basically stubbed his toe with how much health he's left, but they are at a disadvantage until they try to grind back, getting shots off towards the alibi of Souls, but not shutting him down. Disgusting angle in play here from Cyber, though. You love to see it, straight through this slight opening that has been made by KDS on the Maverick there towards the hard reinforcement. He's going to peer through. He was hoping to test fate, but he won't. Instead, repositions and waits, watching towards the stage to try and see if anyone's going to come out doing their best Hamilton impression, if they won't be throwing away their shot, Tim.
Got to remember that those holes work both ways once the Maverick opens them up. Got to be careful moving in and around that area now, the attackers, but we can see the Selma device on the Ace of Una has now opened up that rear stage wall, giving access to the site as required by FaZe if they want to think about getting in and getting this diffuser down. But with 54 seconds left to go, they need to get themselves some kills. They are still up against the full 5-man squad for MIBR. Cameraman downstairs on the Valkyrie. He's looking for a potential nitro toss up through the hatch onto the default plant spot. Mark my words, the hatch that's just in front of you there, that is ultimately what he's going to be looking for. He's going to launch his C4 up through there when the call comes that the plant is going down and see exactly what he can pick up, and it wouldn't surprise me if he got himself a kill or two.
Oh, Cyber, he's young, scrappy and hungry, Tim, but he's waiting. He wants to throw away that nitro, but it won't matter. It's not going to benefit him. It won't do any damage. Instead, it's just going to be frags for FaZe. 2 of them to be precise. 1 on Bullet, 1 on Cyber. M-King, he's feeling lonely. He joins the party, but he's not going to be having a good time. They do at least bite back onto Astro, dropping him down to the ground, and Cameraman is cleaning up. He's gone for the wide-angle lens this time, it seems, as he's catching all of the action. 2 versus 2. Diffuser down. We're down to the 30-second mark as it rapidly starts to get lower and lower. Souls is on the rotation with the alibi, looking for an angle to attack. Cheeky peek. Even more ridiculous shot. The fact it connects is huge. And he gets the follow-up, Tim. That's a big play. Gigantic clutch. They've got time. MIBR have got a 3rd round.
Cameraman made that play there, coming up the rear stage stairs. I was a little bit disappointed with his nitro toss. He sort of threw it and it just hit the table in front of him. Ultimately, the plant wasn't going down there. It may have connected with somebody else, but it wouldn't have prevented the plant. KDS had very smartly moved away to the bench, but ultimately, I thought he might have a little bit more sort of, in the tank with that nitro. I thought he might come out and just give us a bit more legs, but ultimately, moving up rear stage stairs, I think he was about 1 HP after the battle with Astro. Did very well to pick up both kills, and that really opened up the post plant for MIBR there. They were cool as cucumbers, certainly not shaken by that diffuser going down. They just got themselves in there nice and smooth, couple of kills and on to the disable. So very, very good from MIBR in meeting.
That was sick. Really nice round. Good comeback into it. Game's looking competitive, Tim. It's looking like we are getting some pretty nice siege as well. Some cinematic stuff, some big clutch rounds. Moments of madness when it comes to just slaughtering and being a bit of a pop star, because that is what Cameraman is doing. 7 frags to his name, building a nice little legacy. I mean, everyone's actually performing quite nicely. When you do glance across MIBR, they're all filling their role. They're all hitting their shots, and that's what we expected to see out of last season. Cameraman was always a top contender. Cyber would have his rounds. Bullet could do some disgusting things on Wamai. I don't know what it is about this man, but if you give him an AUG, he will make AUG-rageous plays. Souls, genuinely, this guy can be the Grim Reaper incarnate at times, and Enkim, he would have those clutch rounds. It would be the one-off impact frags that would somehow turn the tide to him. Right now, he's had a bit of a quiet one. He's not really made too much of a pipe up. He hasn't really given it as much as we used to. It tended to be more of his Maestro plays that always stuck out in my mind, but they've delegated him over to the Clash. They've put him on the lady that loves giving out the road brash with a big shield. Let's see if that might help him a little bit coming into round 5. If that might give him a bit of an extra edge for M-King.
Immediate attention being paid towards kitchen and dining here as FaZe look to move through and clear out any roamers. Last time around, there were 1 or 2 out on the extremities. We can see them out towards rear stage once again. So I'm sure FaZe are going to be looking to pick up those early kills as they did back in round number 1. The last time that they attacked this site, got in there live, opening things up with a kill onto M-King, who was playing on the Mozzie at the time. But will this time bring along that shield? So almost certainly a lot safer than he was last time out there at the rear stage. But this time we could see some attention paid towards Freezer. Now, I'm sure that KDS is going to come head-to-head with that Clash very soon if he's not careful. And we can see the challenge coming in from MIBR. Usually aggressive, as always, onto the Freezer stairs.
Ooh, all right, well, trying to test their luck. We know how pivotal of an angle this can be to hold, and normally it's actually played pretty perfectly. It always tends to be the smoke that sits there because the utility really is the big factor. You get out that sanguine arsenic, you make their lungs go kaput, they drop down to the ground, and when they do, you give them a hot piping of big pop-up pump, the shotty that does not take no for an answer, Tim. 1 minute and 20 seconds on the clock, though. Right now, we haven't seen any introductions, the big popper himself. Instead, they're trying to set their focus towards a different way in towards the site, utilizing the Maverick of KDS, who's going to tear the hatch clean off and give them that access point. The rest of them just waiting, basically rocking a buddy system. They haven't gone overly aggressive in the way they're playing this, and they are trying to keep their distance, but they've got 60 seconds, Tim. Again, it feels like we're coming down to the point where they're going for the late round clutches, and we've seen how awkward these have been throughout just today alone, so heart rate definitely going to be going up, Tim.
Shots just being exchanged, but no damage being done at this point. Lav taken off the board now. That was an interesting angle there. Through onto KDS. In comes the nade. Does a very small amount of damage to Bullet, but will not perturb him whatsoever. He's going to get back in there to make a re-challenge, but shouldn't have done. Yuna shuts him down this time, and out comes the Clash to try and challenge here in Freezer. Something has to be done about the shield, and right now, it looks like FaZe, they're simply trying to ignore it, but that's never going to work as Cameraman steps in and gets a kill onto Yuna. Astro gets one for himself, but Cameraman a second. He is going big here on Oregon so far. Souls it will be to bring it to 3 versus 1 now. It is all on Astro. 7 seconds left to go and too much to be done. Cameraman gets himself 3 on the round. Big plays from him, and that is going to be another successful round for MIBR on the defense.
Big stuff here from MIBR. This is really starting to shape up to be quite a tasty series coming out from the way they're playing it. Oh, for FaZe, obviously, it's the big move, right, of KDS coming into the roster. How well is he going to slot in? Whereas the story from IBR seems to be just the fact that Cameraman, if we thought he kind of acclimatized quite quickly last season, now he definitely knows the lay of the land, Tim. He's living a high life. He has started to just flex his muscles here on MIBR, and he's hitting all of his shots. Definitely a big one to keep your eyes on going forward. And this is a change I like to see coming out for M-King as well. Put him on the Maestro. Honestly, that's his best operator for me, Tim. I think that's where he was doing some of his best work into the last season we saw of him. That's a good change. That's a good 6-pick.
Very solid and always a good gun to bring along as well. The Alder, of course, is an absolute clutch machine in the late rounds. Now, we're going to be heading to Kitchen and Dining for the final defensive round for MIBR here, and they have been really dominant so far around. We can see M-King just prepping that wall into the small tower side. We've got Cyber applying utility into showers, and Cameraman just looking to castle things off and just create a little bit of a solid box in there, potentially. I'm not sure if anyone's going to open up a rotation and move and play in there or not, or whether it is largely going to come down to a top floor hole. Bullet is up there applying some ability. Cyber and Cameraman join him as well. So it certainly looks like there is going to be a strong top floor presence on this one.
You got to have a strong box. I think that's, that's a go-to in life. You got a weak box, Tim, your mental's going to go, you're not going to win games. It's all about strong boxes.
It's all about the box strength.
that's often what I wake up every morning, I have a glass of water, and I just think, is my box going to be strong today?
Lemon water?
Honestly, I haven't as much recently. I know I've gone against my own mantra, Tim. I've betrayed myself there, but I will be back on the lemon water hype. I instead have been going for the super greens.
The super greens really are going in for the full hit then.
Oh yeah, the full processed veg. Get that in every
I didn't realise you were on such a big health kick, Jackie.
I know, mate. It's game changing, honestly. We'll see how it develops. We'll see if it helps me work on dad jokes or if it is a bit of a detriment over the course of the season. You're a good sounding board, Tim.
See if it supercharges the humour power.
Ooh. Hopefully. Talking of being supercharged into this round, though, it seems like Cameraman is going to charge his way out of that awkward angle and barely get out of there in the nick of time to be able to stay alive and reposition. Down to about 1 minute and 45 seconds here in round 6. There hasn't been an opening frag yet, but as soon as I say that, here he comes. The devil himself arrives. Bullet busts in, overpowers KDS. He does not want to let this man show his true skill, so he rips his head off to deny that happening.
Bullet and Cyber, I called them out coming in here, Jackie. I said that they had more to show us. Round 3, 4, 5, 6 opening kills have gone to either Cyber or Bullet, and this is the potential that I was talking about. This is the ability that these guys have. Couple that with the performance that we are seeing out of Cameraman so far, and MIBR start to look seriously scary, and they are right up in the faces of FaZe Clan on this defense now. In the small tower, and Cameraman, he's just gunning with the UMP. Cyber gets himself another, and that now leaves us 4 versus 2 as Yuna manages to trade out Cameraman, but it is probably too little too late at this stage. However, Ion with a backstab coming down the white stairs there. He's going to take Bullet off the board, and that is 2 of the big fraggers gone here. Cyber needs to step up, and Souls and M-King, they've both been quiet so far. Now could be their moment to push MIBR onto 5-1 for the half.
Turns the corner, but it's not going to help. Instead, he's just dropped down, left dead on the ground. It's all on Yuna with a man with a pink hair, be able to make the punishing play. Oh, he's big, he's loud, he's vibrant, but he can't clutch it. He can't do it tonight, Tim, as he hits his head, falling over. Cyber for the top rope, a clean angle there. Lovely little line of sight over the top of the hatch. Lands the shot and puts MIBR in a position to put this game to bed. Every game we've had tonight, all 4 maps have been 7-5s. Tim, is this going to be the longest reverse sweep, or is this going to be the streak broken?
At the minute, I think it's going to be the streak broken, Jackie. I can't see MIBR being punished by FaZe right now. MIBR are seriously on top of them. They've got FaZe against the ropes. They are raining in body blows. They're hitting them with big shots to the jaw, and FaZe are rocked right now. It is going to take a huge effort for them to push themselves back out of the corner and get themselves any sort of progress or control in this matchup. MIBR just seem to be winning at every single turn. Every gunfight is going in their direction.
Yeah, they're playing some really solid Siege. I heard they're just hitting the shots. They haven't really been twisting themselves into awkward angles. You've also just got the star power of Cameraman showing up. 11 kills, 3 deaths. He was a huge asset for them the entire way through their defensive half, filling the role that was necessary. It just goes to show that they are a solid team. You've got M-King basically just fulfilling the support role the whole way through. this is normally where he can at least let himself off the leash a bit more as well, because you're falling into effectively just being the Maverick. Most of the time, from what I remember, we did see him with the diffuser on his back, and he would just fully commit to that main support role. Soul's having it this time, though, over on the Ace, of course, as we get into round 7. For FaZe Clan, I'm scared their confidence is going to be knocked, and it definitely seems like they've been rattled, Tim. They trade it back, going for the 1-for-1 trade, but Astro, he has barely survived. Look at him. Does he try and dash out of there to stay alive?
M-King will shut down live, and once again, MIBR just keeping the pressure on at all times. FaZe never really being able to find any comfort in this matchup. They are just constantly under pressure, constantly being attacked, and that is the sort of attacking aggressive style that we saw coming out of MIBR in the first stage, and it wasn't always successful for them. I think sometimes, Jackie, if I'm honest, they went a bit over the top with it. If anything, they went in there and they'd charge all 5 into sight immediately and try to take gunfights in the first 15 seconds, and it just didn't really play into them. Now it seems like they've come back with a more refined version, just a bit more temper on that aggression, and they are now just harnessing it and utilizing it so well and getting in there, clearing people out one after another, and MIBR look clinical so far.
Oh, mate, they're a hit squad. They're going in, they have a contract, and they will fulfill it every single time. And all they've got to fill now is the last 2 remaining players of FaZe with bullets. If they can, this is going to be them sat at a 6-1 scoreline. Game of Peekaboo is played, and it feels like it's definitely going to be a deadly one. The peek up from cameraman hits the shot and brings it all on Ion. Valkyrie in a 1 versus 3 should get the connection off to the Gemini, but that's not going to matter. It's all just an elaborate ruse, and he's been lampooned. Turns the corner onto Cyber, gets the close contact and shuts him down. 60 seconds to clutch out a 1 versus 2. MIBR, they have all the time in the world to slow this down, group up together, play off each other's contact, and play it as a 2 versus 1. Souls has the diffuser. You still have your utility to work with, and you can let that Gemini drone recharge over on your Iana. They don't need to rush this, Tim. They just have to play smart.
Cameraman is doing exactly that. He's pushed round to rear stage, so they have now got a pinch established onto Ion here, but he's playing smart as well. The footwork is there, and he's got himself through to the bunker. Souls knew exactly where he was, though. How about that for a pre-fire? Just steps around. Watch this. He knows exactly where the man is going to be. Hits the shots. There you go. Absolute beauty from Souls to finish that one off. 6-1 now, and a guaranteed draw on Oregon for MIBR.
Huge play. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. And at this point, if we have had all of our games going 7-5, this ain't going to be one of them. I just don't see it happening. It's a shame as well, because we were looking at this as a display to see how well KDS is going to fit into the team. We haven't really had much of a chance to even see how he plays, Tim, because this game's over, mate. This has got to be at least a close towards a 7-1 victory. MIBR, they're just slaughtering them. It's crazy the way this game has been going on Oregon.
Well, the concern for FaZe right now is the fact that not only are they getting run over, they're getting run over on their own map. So, you know, coming back from this, there's then the situation whereby they have to go and play on Cafe, which is the map that MIBR picked up. And it could be trouble for them because they're just not even being competitive here. And, you know, we can put that down to question marks of KDS coming in, and they've not had much time. It's only been a couple of weeks that they've been, you know, working on that. And so, yes, it isn't an excuse that you can put into the mix for them. We do need to give them time to settle down, but it's not like it's a small difference between these two teams at the minute.
No, it's not. Like, it looks like there's a big disparity between the both of them. If we were looking at this as being a split down the middle in terms of the maps in the best of 2, where we said they're just going to win their respective map picks, that's why it's also so much scarier. Because I don't know if I see that coming true. You got to think, we're going on to Dostoevsky after this, right? In my mind, there's a timeline here, Tim, where we see MIBR just absolutely smash it today and have 2 of the most dominant victories of the playday.
Wouldn't surprise me at all. Cyber comes in and continues along that trend, taking Astro off the board, one of those players from FaZe that we would normally expect to see right up there at the top of the leaderboard in frags, just picking up kill after kill, but absolutely not. Shut down once again, and that is not the first time that we've seen him take the first death of the round. I don't think it has been a tough day so far for FaZe. They just haven't had a chance to even catch their breath in this. MIBR have managed to shape the game much better, and I got the feeling last stage that this is what they were trying to do. They were trying to come in and just run away from teams before they could even get themselves established. But as I say, it was just a little bit too aggressive sometimes. It's almost like they were snatching at it and trying to grab it, and it had just slipped through their fingers. But they've certainly found a magic formula here on Oregon.
Oh, they really have. It's looked like they've moved in and this is their home turf, and they do not like the look of the neighbours, and they have gone in with firearms. A very rude introduction here against FaZe Clan on their defense. MIBR pummeling them. We're left into a 4 versus 3 here on match point, where it could all end. Ion going for the run out, trying to make a cheeky play to see if that will benefit them, but it's not really allowed them to save the day. He's not got much off the back of it whatsoever. They don't have a lot at all here in the game. Their stakes are basically out. If you drop this round, you lose out on it, and we go through into the second map. And that's where that's up to them to try and repair their story. For now, though, about 1 minute and 12 seconds left. Haven't seen the over-aggression coming out from the 3 remaining players on FaZe. They're not going for a risky power play to try and get themselves back in the game. Instead, they're just kind of holding and keeping their distance. We have 60 seconds, Tim, for them to do something remarkable.
Long angle being held by KDS over towards that rear stage window, but we'll get no joy. We can see MIBR just looking to push into Attic now and take some control over that area. M-King just sweeping round that ground floor to make sure there are no footprints or aromas to be found on the Jackal, and he will get the track onto Ion, but there's nobody there immediately to make a challenge. That was just the Gemini moving in from the honor of cameraman. So we have seen this site held with 3 defenders against even 5 attackers. It is a tough site to get into when it has still got its core of defenders in place, especially with those Malusi gadgets there as well. They're going to make things extra difficult now. Shots will rain in through that soft wall. Souls gets one onto KDS. Yuna, however, will get a big double there. Ion as well. 1 versus 1 as Bullet gets him, and we now find ourselves coming down to it, and Bullet gets Yuna through the sofa. Unbelievable finish there, and that just sums up the match for FaZe on Oregon. It's been a tough one.
That's sick. That's a huge way to close it down as well. If they wanted to do it in style, that round alone encompasses it. We've had so many positions going down to the wire like that, where it is the last second clutch to seal the deal, but the difference is they back it up. They end it there. They don't give them even the slimmest possibility of somehow grinding this game back. They instead win it, Tim. 7-1 split there, cameraman. 12 frags, 4 deaths.